The sound woke him at 4 in the morning. Not a scream. Worse. A whimper that turned into broken words Jin Nakamura couldn't understand. He opened his eyes and found his wife curled on her side of the bed, trembling. "No. Please. I'll do better." Keisha's voice was small, childlike. Nothing like the sharp-tongued physician who had argued with him 3 days ago about keeping weapons in the house. Jin sat up slowly. They had been married 6 weeks. A contract signed by her father to clear a debt related to his pharmaceutical distribution network that had accidentally moved product for Jin's organization. The marriage was the cleanest solution. She kept her medical practice. He kept his empire. Everyone walked away intact. Except she was crying in her sleep and something in his chest felt like it was cracking open. "Keisha." She jerked awake. For 3 seconds she looked at him like he was the enemy. Then recognition clicked and her face went carefully blank. "I'm sorry. Did I wake you? Who is he?" "What?" "The man in your dream." Jin kept his voice level. "Who is he?" Keisha pulled the blanket higher even though the room was not cold. "No one. Just a bad dream." "You said please. You said you would do better." He watched her flinch. "That's not nothing. It's also not your concern. You're my wife." On paper. Her eyes met his and he saw something that looked like shame and fury mixed together. The contract didn't include therapy sessions. She climbed out of bed and walked to the bathroom. The door closed. The lock clicked. Jin stared at the ceiling and felt an unfamiliar rage building in his gut. Not at her. At whoever put that fear in her voice. He was downstairs in his office by 4:30, dialing his head of security. "Hyun, I need a full background on my wife." "Sir, we already did one before the marriage." "No. I need everything. Every relationship. Every job. Every address going back 10 years. Jin's knuckles were white around the phone. "And I need it before noon." There was a pause. "Is there a problem?" "Just do it." He hung up and pulled up the file they had compiled before the wedding. Keisha Mensah. 31 years old. Ghanaian father, Nigerian mother. Graduated top of her class from Yonsei University Medical School. Residency in emergency medicine. Currently worked at Asin Medical Center. No criminal record. No suspicious connections. Perfect on paper. But paper did not explain why she woke up begging in her sleep. Jin spent the next 2 hours making calls about a shipment delay from Busan and a territory dispute in Gangnam. Business. Numbers. Problems he knew how to solve. By 7 he heard footsteps upstairs. Shower running. Keisha getting ready for her hospital shift. She came down at 7:45 in scrubs and sneakers, her hair pulled back in a low bun. She did not look at him. "I made coffee," Jin said. "I'll get some at work." "Keisha." She stopped at the door. Shoulders tight. "What? Are you afraid of me?" The question seemed to catch her off guard. She turned halfway, expression unreadable. "Should I be?" "No." "Then why ask?" "Because you act like I'm going to hurt you." "I don't." "You do." Jin stood. He was taller than her by 6 inches, but she did not back away. "That was something. You avoid me. You lock doors. You don't eat meals with me unless someone else is here. We barely know each other." "Exactly. So tell me why you're scared." Keisha's jaw tightened. For a moment he thought she might actually answer. Then she shook her head. "I'm late for rounds." She left. Jin stood in the empty kitchen and made a decision that went against every rule he had built his life on. He was going to protect her, whether she wanted him to or not. The file arrived at 11:53. Hyun delivered it himself, which meant it was bad. They sat in Jin's private office while rain started to tap against the windows. Her father's debt was legitimate, Hyun said. "But there's more." "Show me." Hyun opened the folder. Photographs. Financial records. Medical reports that made Jin's vision narrow. 3 years ago, Keisha was engaged. Chinua Okoro. Investment analyst. British Nigerian. They met during her residency. Hyun slid a photo across the desk. Clean-cut man in an expensive suit. Handsome. Successful. What happened? Engagement lasted 14 months. Ended 8 months before you married her. Hyun pulled out another document. This is from a hospital visit 2 weeks before the breakup. Keisha came in with bruised ribs. Told the attending she fell downstairs. Jin's hands went still. There's more. A noise complaint from neighbors. Police report. She refused to press charges. Hyun's voice was flat. Professional. Then suddenly the engagement ended. Chinua moved to London. Keisha moved to a different apartment and threw herself into work. Where is he now? London. Still working in investment banking. Has he contacted her since the breakup? Not directly. But 3 weeks ago he sent an email to her work account. Said he was returning to Seoul for a conference. Wanted to meet. Jin looked up. When? Next week. The email said he wanted to apologize. To explain. Something cold settled in Jin's spine. She didn't respond? No. But she forwarded it to her personal email. She kept it. Jin closed the folder. His mind was already working through logistics. Locations. Ways to intercept. Ways to make sure Chinua Okoro never got within a mile of Keisha. Thank you, Hyun. What do you want me to do? Find out what hotel he's staying at. What conference? Every detail of his schedule. And then, Jin met his eyes. I'll handle it. After Hyun left, Jin sat alone with the file. He opened it again. Looked at the photo of Chinua. Memorized the face. Then he looked at the hospital report. The carefully worded notes. Bruised ribs. Consistent with a fall. Except Keisha did not fall. And Jin was going to make sure Chinua understood what happened to men who put hands on things that belonged to Jin Nakamura. Even if she did not know she belonged to him yet. Keisha came home at 9 that night. Jin was waiting in the living room with dinner he had ordered from her favorite Nigerian restaurant. Jollof rice. Plantains. Suya. She stopped when she saw the table. What's this? Food. I can see that. Then sit down and eat. She hesitated. He could see her calculating. Looking for the trap. Why? Because you skipped breakfast and I'm guessing you skipped lunch. Jin pulled out a chair. Sit. You don't have to do this. I know. The contract doesn't require. Forget the contract. His voice came out harder than he meant. Just sit down and eat with me. She sat. But she was stiff. Guarded. They ate in silence for 5 minutes. Jin watched her take small bites, like she was afraid to show hunger. Like she had been trained to make herself smaller. The food is good, she said finally. I know. That's why I ordered it. How did you know I liked this place? I pay attention. Her eyes flicked to him. Searching. Do you? Yes. To what? You. Jin set down his fork. I pay attention to you, Keisha. She looked away. You don't know me. I know you work 12-hour shifts and still go back to check on your patients before you leave. I know you drink tea, not coffee, even though you pretend otherwise. I know you read medical journals in bed and fall asleep with your phone in your hand. He paused. And I know someone hurt you badly enough that you still have nightmares. Her hand tightened around her fork. Stop. No. This isn't part of our arrangement. Then maybe the arrangement needs to change. Keisha stood abruptly. Her chair scraped against the floor. I'm not some project for you to fix. I don't want to fix you. I want to know you. Why? The word came out sharp and raw. Why do you care? You married me because my father owed you. That's it. That's all this is. Jin stood too. They faced each other across the table. Is that really what you think? It's what I know. You're wrong. Am I? She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Then tell me, Jin. What exactly do you want from me? The question hung between them. Jin could feel his control slipping. The careful distance he maintained with everyone. The walls he built to keep his world separate from anything that could be used against him. But looking at Keisha with her eyes bright and her chin up, all he wanted was to close the space between them and show her she did not have to be afraid anymore. I want you to trust me, he said quietly. I can't. Why not? Because trusting someone is how I got broken in the first place. The admission seemed to shock her as much as it shocked him. Her hand flew to her mouth like she could take the words back. Jin moved around the table slowly, carefully, like approaching something wild and wounded. Keisha, don't. She backed up. Please don't. I'm not going to hurt you. Everyone says that. I'm not everyone. She laughed again. That same bitter sound. You're a criminal, Jin. Your entire life is built on hurting people. Not you. Never you. You don't know what you're saying. Yes, I do. He stopped 3 feet away, close enough to see the tears she was fighting, far enough that she could run if she needed to. And I know about Chinua. Her face went white. How? I had you investigated. You what? After this morning. After your nightmare. I needed to know who put that fear in you. You had no right. Her voice shook. No right to dig into my past. You're my wife. A wife you bought to settle a debt. Maybe that's how it started. Jin took another step. But that's not what this is anymore. Then what is it? I don't know. But I know I can't watch you hurt and do nothing. His hands curled into fists. I know when I read that hospital report, I wanted to find him and break every bone in his body. I know when I saw that he emailed you, I wanted to make sure he never gets close enough to breathe the same air. Keisha stared at him. Jin. He's coming to Seoul next week. Did you know that? I saw the email. Are you going to meet him? I don't know. Don't. The word came out like gravel. Don't go anywhere near him. You can't tell me what to do. I'm not telling you. I'm asking you. Jin closed the final distance between them. Please, Keisha. Don't let him near you again. She looked up at him and something in her expression cracked. Why do you even care? Because when I heard you crying in your sleep, something inside me broke. His voice dropped. Because you're brilliant and strong and you deserve someone who sees that instead of trying to destroy it. Because somewhere between signing that contract and now, you stopped being an obligation and started being the only thing I think about. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Don't say things like that. Why not? Because it makes me want to believe you. Then believe me. I can't. She shook her head. I can't let myself want this. Want what? You. The word was barely a whisper. I can't want you. Jin reached up slowly and wiped her tears with his thumb. She did not pull away. Too late. This is a mistake. Probably. I'm not ready for this. I know. Then why are you pushing? Because I've spent my entire life taking what I want and destroying what threatens me. His other hand came up to cup her face. But with you, all I want is to keep you safe. Even if that means protecting you from yourself. Keisha's hands came up to grip his wrists. Not pushing him away. Just holding on. He destroyed me, Jin. Piece by piece. He made me think I deserved it. You didn't. How do you know? Because I know you. His forehead touched hers. And I know he was a coward who couldn't handle your strength, so he tried to break it. He almost succeeded. Almost doesn't count. She laughed through her tears. It was a broken sound, but it was real. You're insane. Probably. This whole thing is insane. Definitely. We barely know each other. Then let me know you. Jin pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. Let me show you what it looks like when someone actually deserves you. Keisha looked at him for a long moment. He could see the war happening behind her eyes. Fear and hope and a desperate need to believe that maybe this time could be different. Then she kissed him. It was not planned. Not calculated. She just rose on her toes and pressed her mouth to his like she was testing the theory. Like she needed to know if this was real. Jin froze for half a second. Then his arms came around her, and he kissed her back like she was oxygen and he had been drowning. When they broke apart, they were both shaking. That was a mistake, Keisha whispered. No, it wasn't. Jin. Say it again. What? My name. Say it like that again. She closed her eyes. This is such a bad idea. The best ones usually are. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, the corner of her mouth. Stay with me. Not because of the contract. Not because you have to. Because you want to. What if I'm not ready? Then I'll wait. What if I'm never ready? Then I'll still wait. Jin pulled her against his chest. But I'm going to deal with Chinua. I'm going to make sure he understands that coming near you again is a death sentence. And I'm going to prove to you that not all men are cowards. Keisha's arms tightened around him. She was crying again, but this time it felt different. Like something old and poisonous was finally draining out. I don't know how to do this, she said into a shirt. Neither do I. You're supposed to be confident. I run a criminal empire. I've never done this. Done what? Cared about someone more than I care about control. She pulled back to look at him. Her eyes were red, but there was something new in them. Something that looked like maybe. What happens now? Now you go to sleep. And tomorrow we figure out the rest. Together. Together. Keisha nodded slowly. Then she took his hand and led him upstairs. They did not talk about what it meant. They did not discuss the contract or the rules or what happened next. They just lay down in the same bed, and this time when she curled on her side, Jin was right behind her. His arm over her waist. His breath on her neck. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For caring when you didn't have to. Jin kissed her shoulder. Sleep, Keisha. She did. And for the first time in years, there were no nightmares. The conference was in 3 days. Jin spent the next 48 hours making arrangements. He had people watching Chinua's hotel, tracking his movements, making sure there would be no surprise visits to the hospital where Keisha worked. He also spent those 2 days learning his wife. She liked spicy food more than sweet. She hummed old Afrobeat songs when she cooked. She got defensive when she was scared and went quiet when she was happy. She touched him now in small ways. A hand on his arm when she passed. Fingers brushing his when he handed her tea. On the second morning, Jin woke to find Keisha already dressed for work, standing at the bedroom window with her phone in her hand. Her shoulders were tense. What's wrong? She turned. Her expression was guarded again. That wall she put up when she was trying to protect herself. Nothing. Keisha. He called the hospital. Left a message with the front desk saying he wants to see me. Jin was out of bed in seconds. When? Yesterday. I didn't check my messages until this morning. What did he say? That he's in Seoul. That he needs to talk to me. That it's important. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. He said he's staying at the Shilla and he'll wait as long as it takes. Jin crossed the room and took the phone from her hands. He read the message himself. The casual tone. The assumption that she would come. Like Chinua still believed he had power over her. You're not going. I know. Good. But Jin. She looked up at him. What if he shows up at the hospital anyway? What if he causes a scene? He won't. How do you know? Because I'm going to see him first. Fear flashed across her face. No. Keisha. I don't want you involved in this. I don't want you doing something that could put you at risk. I'm not at risk. He could go to the police. He could. He won't. Jin set the phone down and took her face in his hands. Listen to me. Men like Chinua are cowards. They only hurt people who can't fight back. The moment someone stands up to them, they fold. You don't know him. I know enough. His thumbs brushed her cheekbones. And I know I'm not letting him anywhere near you. Not now. Not ever. Keisha's eyes filled with tears. I'm scared. I know. Not of him. Of this. Of what you make me feel. What do I make you feel? Safe. The word came out broken. And that terrifies me because the last time I felt safe with someone, he used it to destroy me. Jin pulled her close. She buried her face in his chest, and he felt her tears soak through his shirt. I'm not him. I know. But my brain doesn't. Then we teach it. He kissed the top of her head. One day at a time. One moment at a time. Until you believe it. She nodded against him. Okay. Okay. But Jin, promise me something. What? Don't hurt him. Not because he doesn't deserve it. But because I don't want you carrying that for me. Jin was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I'll do what needs to be done. Nothing more. It was not the promise she asked for. But it was the only one he could give. On the second night, she asked about his work. Do you ever regret it? They were eating takeout in the living room. Something had shifted between them. She sat closer now. Let her guard drop in increments. Regret what? Your life. The choices you made. Jin considered the question. No one had ever asked him that. No. Really? I was 12 when my father died. He ran a small operation. Protection. Logistics. But he was fair. Respected. Jin set down his chopsticks. When he died, the other families tried to take everything. I could either let them or fight back. So you fought. I destroyed them. He said it without pride or shame. Just fact. By the time I was 23, I controlled more territory than my father ever dreamed of. By 25, I had politicians and police on my payroll. Now I'm untouchable. Are you? Most days. But not with me. He looked at her. No, not with you. Keisha tucked her legs under her. She was wearing jeans and one of his shirts. She had not asked. Just started doing it. And Jin found he liked seeing her in his clothes more than he should. What happens when the year is up? She asked quietly. The contract was for 1 year. After that, they could divorce quietly. Go their separate ways. I don't know, Jin admitted. You always know. Not this time. Scared? Terrified. She smiled. It was small but genuine. Good. Me too. What are you scared of? Keisha was quiet for a moment. Then she said that I'm going to fall so hard for you that when this ends, I won't know how to get back up. Jin set down his food. He moved closer until their knees touched. What if it doesn't end? The contract. I don't care about the contract. His hand found hers. I care about you. About this. About whatever we're building here. Jin. I mean it, Keisha. You think I cook dinner and track down your favorite restaurants for every contract I sign? You think I lose sleep over nightmares that aren't mine? Then what is this? I don't have a name for it yet. But I know it's real. And I know I'm not letting you go when the year is up. Tears slipped down her cheeks. You say that now. I'll say it every day until you believe me. What if you change your mind? I won't. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Jin wiped her tears with his thumb. Because I've lived 34 years without feeling like this. And now that I know what it feels like to care about someone more than I care about winning, I'm not giving it up. Keisha kissed him then. Soft and slow and full of hope and terror mixed together. When they broke apart, she whispered, I'm falling for you. Good. Jin. I'm already gone, Keisha. I fell the moment you walked into my life and refused to be small for me. She laughed through her tears. I was terrified of you. You hid it well. Not well enough, apparently. Well enough that I noticed. He pulled her closer. Well enough that I wanted to know who taught you to be afraid. And now you're going to fix it. No, you're going to fix it. I'm just going to make sure nothing stands in your way. That night she fell asleep with her head on his chest. Jin lay awake listening to her breathe and made another decision. The contract did not matter anymore. He was not letting her go. Not in a year. Not ever. She just did not know it yet. Chinyua's conference started on Thursday. Jin was in his office reviewing security footage when Hyun called. He's asking about her. Who? Chinyua. He called the hospital. Asked if Dr. Mensah was available. Jin's blood went cold. What did they say? That she was with patients. He left a message saying he would stop by tomorrow. No, he won't. Sir, I'm going to meet him first. Is that wise? Jin did not answer. He hung up and sent a single text. Asterisk, stay home tomorrow. Please, asterisk. Keisha responded 3 minutes later. Why? Trust me. The reply took longer this time. Okay. Jin closed his eyes. She trusted him. She was choosing to trust him. That meant something. That meant everything. He spent the next hour making calls. By midnight, he had a location. A private room at a hotel near the conference center. Neutral ground. Just him and Chinyua and a conversation that needed to happen. He left the house at 6 in the morning. Keisha was still asleep. He kissed her forehead and whispered a promise she could not hear. I'm going to fix this. The meeting was set for 8. Chinyua arrived on time. He was exactly what Jin expected. Polished. Confident. The kind of man who thought his education and his accent gave him power. Jin sat at the table and said nothing while Chinua ordered coffee and made small talk about the conference. Then finally he smiled. "You're Park Jin Nakamura, Keisha's husband." "I am. I have to admit, I was surprised when I heard she got married. We were together for over a year. She never seemed the type." "Is that right?" "She was always so focused on work. So serious." Chinua leaned back. "Between you and me, she needed someone to help her loosen up." "Have fun." Jin kept his expression neutral. "And you helped with that?" "I tried." "She was stubborn." Chinua laughed. "Beautiful, brilliant, but stubborn as hell. Sometimes she needed reminding who was in charge." "Reminding?" "You know how women are. Especially strong ones. They push boundaries. Test you." He shrugged. "Sometimes you have to be firm." Jin let the words hang in the air. Then he leaned forward. "Let me be very clear about something. You're going to leave Seoul today. You're going to withdraw from this conference. And you're never going to contact Keisha again." Chinua blinked. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. I came here to apologize to her. I made mistakes. I want to make things right." "You don't get to make things right." Jin's voice dropped. "You get to disappear." "Who do you think you are?" "I'm the man who knows what you did to her. The man who has hospital records and police reports and testimony from people who heard you threaten her. The man who could destroy your entire life with one phone call." Chinua's smile faded. "You're bluffing." "Try me." Jin pulled out his phone and slid it across the table. On the screen was a photo. Chinua outside Keisha's old apartment. Hand raised. Face twisted in anger. "Where did you get this?" "I have everything. Every bruise you gave her. Every lie you told. Every time you made her feel like she deserved what you did." Chinua's hands shook. "She never pressed charges." "No. Because you convinced her she was the problem. That she was difficult. That no one else would want her." Jin stood. "But she's not the problem. You are. And now you have a choice." "What choice?" "Leave quietly or I ruin you. I send everything I have to your employer. To your family. To every newspaper and blog in London and Seoul." Jin leaned down until they were eye level. "I will make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man you are. And then, when your life is destroyed, I'll find you. And I'll finish what you started." "You're threatening me?" "No. I'm promising you." Jin straightened. "There's a flight to London at 2. Be on it." He walked out. Behind him, Chinua said nothing. Jin went straight home. Keisha was in the kitchen making breakfast. She turned when she heard him come in. "Where did you go?" "To handle something." "Jin. He's leaving. Today. He won't bother you again." Her expression shifted. "You saw Chinua?" "I told him to stay away from you." "What did you do?" "What needed to be done." Keisha set down her spatula. "Jin, you can't just threaten people." "Watch me. I'm serious." "So am I." He crossed the kitchen and took her hands. "He hurt you. He broke you. And he thought he could come back and do it again. I made sure he knows that's not an option. This is my fight." "No. It's ours." Tears filled her eyes. "I don't know whether to be angry or grateful." "Be both. Just don't ask me to apologize for protecting you." She kissed him then. Hard and desperate and full of everything she could not say. Jin kissed her back and thought that maybe he had finally found something worth more than power. When they broke apart, Keisha was crying. "I'm falling for you." "Good." "Jin." "I'm already gone, Keisha. I fell the moment you walked into my life and refused to be afraid of me. I was afraid. Of your past. Not of me." She laughed through her tears. "Same thing." "No. It's not." He wiped her cheeks. "Your past tried to destroy you. I'm going to spend the rest of our lives proving you're unbreakable. The contract ends in 10 months. Then I'll marry you again. And again. As many times as it takes for you to believe this is real." Keisha pulled him close. "What if I believe you now? Then we stop counting days and start counting moments." She nodded against his chest. "Okay, okay, okay." The days that followed felt different. Lighter somehow. Keisha smiled more. Laughed easier. She started leaving her things around the house. A medical journal on the coffee table. Her favorite mug in the sink. Small markers of permanence that made Jin's chest feel tight in the best way. 2 weeks after Chinua left Seoul, Jin came home to find Keisha in the kitchen with his grandmother. He stopped in the doorway. The two women were cooking together. His grandmother was teaching Keisha how to make kimchi jjigae, and they were both laughing at something. "You have to taste it," his grandmother said in Korean. "How else will you know if it's right?" Keisha tasted the stew and made a face. "It's missing something." "Good." "What?" "Salt maybe? Or more gochugaru." "Try the gochugaru." "Just a little." Jin watched them work together and felt something settle in his chest. His grandmother had been skeptical about the marriage at first. She knew it was a contract. But watching her now, teaching Keisha family recipes and smiling at her pronunciation of Korean words, he could see that skepticism had turned into something else. Acceptance. Maybe even affection. "Are you going to stand there all day, or are you going to help?" His grandmother looked up at him with sharp eyes. "I'm enjoying the view." Keisha turned and her face lit up when she saw him. That look. That easy joy. It still caught him off guard every time. "Your wife is a natural," his grandmother said. "Much better than you ever were." "I never said I was good at cooking." "No. But you were terrible at listening." She waved him over. "Come. Taste this and tell us what you think." Jin joined them and let his grandmother feed him a spoonful of stew. It was perfect. Rich and spicy and exactly how she had made it his whole life. "It's good." Keisha made it. He looked at his wife. She was watching him with nervous hope in her eyes. "It's perfect." "Really?" "Really." She beamed. His grandmother patted her hand and said something in Korean that Jin did not quite catch. But Keisha blushed and looked away, and his grandmother laughed. Later that night, after his grandmother left and they were cleaning up, Jin asked, "What did she say to you?" "When?" "In the kitchen." "You blushed." Keisha smiled. "She said you were a good man. That you were like your father. That's all." "No." She dried her hands and turned to face him. "She said she could tell you loved me. That she saw it in the way you looked at me." Jin went still. They had not said those words yet. Love. It felt too big. Too permanent. Too terrifying to name. "And what did you say?" "I told her she was right." His heart stopped. "Keisha. I love you, Jin." She said it simply. Like it was the easiest truth in the world. "I didn't plan to. I didn't want to. But I do." Jin crossed the kitchen in 2 steps and kissed her like she had just given him the world. Because she had. When they broke apart, he pressed his forehead to hers and whispered, "I love you too. So much it scares me." "Good. I'd hate to be scared alone." He laughed. Actually laughed. And it felt like freedom. 3 months later, they stood in his grandmother's garden and renewed their vows. No contract. No obligation. Just love and promises and a future they chose together. Jin had hired someone to decorate the space. Lanterns hung from the trees. White roses mixed with proteas. Traditional Korean music played softly while Keisha's family sat on one side and he sat on the other. She wore a dress that blended both cultures. White hanbok-style top with a flowing African print skirt in deep purples and golds. Her hair was natural and free. She looked like art. When she walked toward him, Jin forgot how to breathe. They had written their own vows. Keisha went first. Her voice was steady. Strong. "I came into this marriage broken. Scared. Convinced that love was something that hurt. You proved me wrong. Not with words. With patience. With protection. With a kind of fierce loyalty I didn't know existed." She took his hands. "You taught me that being loved doesn't mean being small. That someone can be powerful and gentle at the same time. That I deserve to be chosen. Every single day." Jin's throat was tight. He squeezed her hands and cleared his throat. "I've spent my whole life building walls. Keeping people out. Trusting no one. Then you walked into my house with your chin up and your eyes full of fire, and every wall I built started cracking." His voice roughened. You made me want things I never thought I could have. A home. A partner. Someone who sees all of me and doesn't run. I don't have pretty words, Keisha. But I have this. I will protect you. I will choose you. I will love you until my last breath. And then I'll find a way to love you beyond that. Keisha's tears spilled over. Someone in the crowd sniffled. His grandmother smiled. They exchanged rings. Simple bands they had chosen together. No diamonds. No flash. Just solid gold that would last. When the officiant told him he could kiss his wife, Jean cupped her face and kissed her like they were the only two people in the world. The reception was loud and full of life. Keisha's cousins taught his security team how to dance to Afrobeats. His grandmother told embarrassing stories about his childhood. Someone started a drinking game that got wildly out of hand. But the moment Jean would remember forever came later. When the music had mellowed and most of the guests had left. When it was just them slow dancing under the lanterns with her head on his chest and his arms around her waist. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For not giving up on me when I was too scared to let you in. Jean kissed her temple. You're worth the wait. Even when I was difficult? Especially then. She pulled back to look at him. I never thought I could have this. Never thought I deserved it. You deserve everything. I have everything. She touched his face. I have you. They swayed together under the stars and Jean thought about how different his life looked now. How 6 months ago he had been alone in a big house with only his empire for company. How he had convinced himself that was enough. But it was not enough. Not even close. Because this. Right here. Dancing with his wife while the night air cooled around them and the scent of flowers filled the garden. This was what made life worth living. Come on, Keisha said suddenly. I want to show you something. She took his hand and led him away from the reception. Through the garden. Past the rose bushes and the stone path. To a spot behind his grandmother's house that overlooked the city lights. I used to come here, Jean said. When I was young. After my father died. I know. Your grandmother told me. Keisha turned to face him. She said you would sit here for hours. Just thinking. Planning. I was planning how to survive. And look at you now. Look at us now. She smiled. Yeah, look at us. They stood together in comfortable silence. Jean pulled her back against his chest and wrapped his arms around her. She fit perfectly there. Like she had been made to stand exactly in this spot with him. I got a call yesterday, Keisha said quietly. From who? Chinua's firm. They fired him. Apparently someone sent them evidence of inappropriate conduct. Financial irregularities. Harassment complaints from other women. Jean said nothing. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? I might have passed along some information I came across. Keisha turned in his arms. Jean. He hurt you. He hurt other people. He needed to face consequences. I'm not mad. She touched his chest. Right over his heart. I'm grateful. But also a little scared of how far you're willing to go for me. Wherever I need to. That's what scares me. Why? Because no one has ever loved me like that before. And I'm terrified I'm going to wake up and find out this was all a dream. Jean took her face in his hands. This is real. I'm real. We're real. Promise? I promise. She kissed him then. Soft and sweet and full of trust that had taken months to build. When they broke apart, she said, Take me home. We are home. No. I mean our home. The place where you first held me while I slept. Where you cook me dinner even though you're terrible at it. Where we figured out how to be us. Jean smiled. Our home. Yes. They said goodbye to his grandmother and thanked the remaining guests. Keisha hugged her father for a long time. Her mother cried happy tears. His security team looked mildly drunk and extremely pleased with themselves. The drive home was quiet. Keisha held his hand and stared out the window at the city passing by. When they pulled into the driveway, she did not move. What are you thinking? Jean asked. That 6 months ago, I would have never believed my life could look like this. Thought I could feel this safe. This happy. This whole. And now? Now I don't want to be anywhere else. They went inside together. Keisha kicked off her shoes and Jin loosened his tie. They moved through the house they shared like they had done it 1,000 times. Because they had. In the bedroom, Keisha stood at the window looking out at the night. Jin came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "I love you," he said. "I love you too. No nightmares tonight. No nightmares ever again." It was a promise they both knew might not hold. Healing was not linear. Some wounds ran too deep to ever fully close. But they had each other. And that was enough. They climbed into bed together. Keisha curled into his side with her head on his chest. Jin's arm came around her automatically. This position had become their default. The way they fit together when the world got quiet and it was just them. "Jin." "Yeah, thank you for breaking your rules for me." "What rules?" "All of them. The ones that said you didn't need anyone. That caring was my weakness. That love made you vulnerable." Jin was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You didn't make me break those rules. You made me realize they were stupid to begin with." She laughed softly. "So I'm a good influence?" "The best influence. Even though I'm stubborn and difficult and scared of everything? Especially because of that." He kissed the top of her head. "You're the bravest person I know, Keisha. You survived something that should have destroyed you. You rebuilt yourself. You learned to trust again even when every instinct told you not to. That's not a weakness. That's strength." "I didn't do it alone." "No, but you did the hard part. I just made sure nothing got in your way." They lay together in the dark and listened to each other breathe. Outside the window, Seoul glowed. Cars passed. Life continued. But in here, in this room, in this bed, time felt suspended. "What are you thinking about?" Keisha whispered. "The future." "What about it?" "I'm thinking about how I want to spend every single day of it with you. How I want to watch you save lives and come home exhausted and still somehow find energy to argue with me about where to eat dinner. How I want to hold you when the nightmares come back. How I want to be the person you turn to when the world gets heavy." Keisha's arms tightened around him. "You already are that person." "Good. Because I'm not going anywhere." "Promise?" "Promise." She tilted her head up and kissed him. It was slow and deep and full of all the things they had been too scared to say out loud for so long. When they broke apart, Keisha smiled against his lips. "I'm glad my father made that deal with you." Jin laughed. "Me too. Even though it was technically illegal asset redistribution? Even though. And you had to marry someone you'd never met? Best decision I ever made." She laughed and the sound filled the room like music. They fell asleep like that. Tangled together. Safe. Whole. Two broken people who had somehow found a way to heal each other. And outside, the city kept moving. The empire kept running. The world kept spinning. But none of it mattered as much as this. Like her. As for them. Jin had built his life on power and control and fear. He had convinced himself that was enough. That needing someone was a weakness. That love was a liability he could not afford. But Keisha had proven him wrong. She had walked into his carefully controlled world and turned it upside down. She had made him want things he never knew he needed. She had shown him that real strength was not in walls and distance and isolation. Real strength was in letting someone see you. In trusting them with your worst parts. In choosing them every single day even when it was terrifying. And Jin chose her. Would always choose her. For the rest of his life and whatever came after. Because she was not just his wife. She was his home. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about love, healing, and second chances. Asterisk asterisk. Keisha and Jin proved that broken doesn't mean unfixable. That real love protects without controlling. That healing takes time, patience, and someone willing to stand beside you through it all. You deserve love that doesn't hurt. You deserve someone who sees your strength, not just your scars. Drop a comment below sharing what this story meant to you. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share it with them.